What's up world, it's your boy Drew Marcy here for How to Rap, and in today's video we're gonna help you conquer one of the most annoying aspects of being a beginning rapper or somebody who's relatively new to writing rap regularly, the issue of how to come up with a second verse in rap step by step. Now here at How to Rap we call this concept the verse 2 blues. The verse 2 blues is the times where you found a beat that you love, came up with a great first verse and chorus, but then you get stuck on verse 2. Often this is because you're nervous about making the second verse as good as the first, or the beat is programmed in a way that confuses you on how to handle a second verse, or any other number of concerns you have about finishing the whole song. As YouTube's most subscribed channel on the science of how to rap with over 500,000 subscribers, thanks for that by the way, and having personally coached over 1,000 rappers like yourself on how to rap, I'm confident that we can help you get past your issues with learning how to write a second verse in rap. With that being said, let's give you an easy to follow step-by-step training you can use to learn how to effortlessly know how to come up with a second verse in rap. Now, step 1 to know how to write a second verse in rap is be mentally prepared. The first step when facing the verse 2 blues and wanting to know how to come up with a second verse in rap is to know that it's extremely common for beginning artists to struggle with this. When I first started rapping over 20 years ago, I would often just write one long verse with no chorus or give up after the first verse, just cut the beat off and call it freestyle or free verse. I'm sure many of y'all can relate to that. The problem with this is that you are training your rapping abilities to give up on perhaps the most important part of the song, especially if you quit before writing a chorus. As Denzel Washington famously said in an interview, anything you practice, you'll get good at. And by giving up before writing the second verse or even chorus, you are practicing, in other words, getting good at giving up. Certainly, if you have any aspirations to become a famous or even a talented rapper, you cannot consider yourself an artist if you're not writing full songs, so you need to be mentally prepared to practice getting over the hurdle of the verse 2 blues. Additionally, understand that over time it will become easier and easier to come up with a verse 2 quickly if you practice pushing through it. The way that I personally do this is organizing my songwriting sessions into blocks, where my only goal is to come out with a completed song in any given amount of time. In other words, rather than most new rappers who just write a rap when they feel like it or wait for inspiration, I tell myself I will sit down for 2 hours, and by the end of it, I will have a full song done. Not just 2 hours of writing random verses, 2 hours of a full song being created. The more I do these songwriting blocks of time, the more I'm reprogramming my brain to write in full song chunks rather than stopping and starting by having half-finished songs. Anything you practice, you'll get good at, so you gotta practice finishing songs. Now, the easiest way I found to sit down and force myself to complete these songwriting blocks is by having a beat pre-selected that I already think is hot, set my timer with the beat playing, and get to writing. If finding the perfect beat for a writing session is one of the main things eating up your time and you waste hours looking for the perfect one, I've recently found an excellent service called Beatopia that's sort of like the Netflix of beats, where for a price even cheaper than the actual Netflix, you get 5 beats a month that you can write to, record on, and even release your tracks anywhere. YouTube, Spotify, TikTok, whatever, over beats from producers who've worked with everyone from Skepta, Polo G, Wizkid, and even Justin Bieber. The best part is if you click the first link in the video description, your first month will be $1 using the promo code HowToRap, which means at the end of this video, you can literally have 5 beats ready to write your full songs on that are quality enough for Grammy winners. Now, step 2 to know how to write a second verse in rap is switch the flow and rhyme scheme from the start of verse 1. One of the fastest ways to roll into a second verse, both as a writer and performer, is to use a different flow or rhythm of your words along with a different rhyme scheme. In other words, if you start verse 1 with like a lot of stacked rhymes, such as, this is verse 1, I'm a hurt dumb, see how my work's done. You see how like I'm stacking rhymes, or you might consider starting verse 2 with a more simple end of the bar rhyme scheme instead of stacking rhymes like we did there. Or if you started verse 1 with a slow, methodical Tupac style of flow, you can decide to start verse 2 with a choppier, more energetic flow. This is one of the main tricks that I use to quickly push through verse 2 blues personally. When I feel that I'm nervous I won't know how to come up with a second verse in rap, I simply replay what I've already recorded started, or look back what I've already written if it's not recorded yet, and listen to the flow that I've chosen to start verse 1, or think of a different flow that I can use on the same beat to start verse 2. Step 3 to know how to write a second verse in rap is consider rearranging the beat. If step 2 doesn't work fully for you, you can also consider rearranging the beat into something that will help accentuate a different flow or rhythm for your words than the beat in verse 1. This is one of the most underrated tricks I find with new rappers trying to learn how to write a second verse in rap. Newer artists think that they need to be tied to the beat structure that was presented to them when they first heard the song on YouTube or whatever. Look, don't feel like you need to be the beat's you know what, right? You can take charge and rearrange it to something more favorable to the rhythm of the words you've already written. Being able to choose the best sections of the beat for the song you want to write is one of the main components of going from an amateur to professional level artist as a rapper. Additionally, it's very common at the elite level of rap production. When I first did my last album with Perps of 808 Mafia, who notably did a lot of production on Juice WRLD's last album, I would often tell him that we should move different beat breakdowns and sections of the beat to another part depending on how the song I was creating needed to be structured. Needless to say, he totally understood the desire for that level of creative freedom, and sometimes he would offer his own changes in structure once he heard my vocals. The last thing I should say on this point, however, is that you need to read the licenses provided by the producer when you buy the beat, if you plan to buy it, regarding changing the songs around. Some of the lower level cheap licenses producers give out do not allow for changes in the beat, but as you get higher price, more exclusive licenses, you can do what you want, but that depends on the producer, so read the fine print on that. One of the reasons I really like Beatopia's offer, especially for $1 in the Netflix of beats, is because you have so many different production options to get to your level of creative freedom. Step 4 to know how to write a second verse in rap is events, environments, and emotions, or the 3 E's. The 3 E's is a concept we came up with a few years back to help rappers with writer's block come up with new ideas. Essentially what it means is that almost every great rap song has either an event it's describing, an emotion that it evokes or illustrates, or an environment that it takes place in or is played in. In fact, often the best songs have all 3. Let's give you a couple examples to flesh this out. Let's say you have a club anthem you're writing. The beat is your typical 808 heavy club fare. You've gotten through verse 1 and your chorus and you love it, but you don't know what you should say for verse 2. You're experiencing the verse 2 blues. Now, one way to approach this using the 3 E's is to ask yourself, what emotions do I typically feel within a club I haven't already described in verse 1 of the chorus? Do I feel excited at the bad chicks I see? Or do I feel annoyed because the music's too loud? Or do I feel confused because I'm so drunk? You can tailor your description to the theme of the song, or even better, make multiple songs on different emotions depending on the beat type. Or you can think of the events that typically happen in the club, like VIP bottles getting popped, DJs playing records, or whatever. It's up to you to pick and choose based on whatever type of rapper you are and what kind of song you want to make, but the main idea is using the 3 E's as a prompt to foster new ideas. Just to make this abundantly clear, on the other hand, if you had a street banger, gangsta type beat, you could think of the environments that song might be played in, like the project, Section 8, the corner, and describe them, or the emotions people in the streets feel. The 3 E's is an excellent way to break through writer's block or verse 2 blues, so use it. And step 5 to know how to write a second verse in rap is additional song sections, bridges, post-choruses, refrains, and so on. Our last concept you can use to break through verse 2 blues is consider shortening your verse 2 a bit and placing a different song section that isn't a verse or chorus at the top of what is normally reserved for verse 2. In other words, you can have something like a 16-bar verse followed by an 8-bar chorus followed by a 4-bar bridge and a 12-bar verse 2. That will allow you to focus on just writing a nice, catchy 4-bar bridge, and then your verse 2 will be much shorter. The advantage to this is that you aren't forcing yourself to think of a super complex verse 2, and that's sort of postponing your verse 2 blues while additionally making your song structure more original and unexpected by having another section. This is another very common way of handling what to do with your second verse as a rapper, and now you know this trick, you can hear when rappers do this at the top of verse 2. Rappers who particularly use bridges and refrains to their advantage this way are Kanye West, J. Cole, Kendrick Lamar, 50 Cent, and many others, so study their work for more examples. And remember, with this last step, one of the best ways to practice constructing your bridges, pre-choruses, and additional sections would be to check out that offer in the video description. Now, let's review exactly what we covered here today on how to come up with a second verse in rap. Understand that verse 2 blues happen to affect everybody, and the more you practice finishing, the easier it becomes. One of the fastest ways to roll into a second verse, both as a writer and performer, is to use a different flow or rhythm of your words along with the different rhyme scheme. If step 2 doesn't work fully for you, you can also consider rearranging the beat into something that will help accentuate a different flow or rhythm of your word than the beat in verse 1. Use the 3 E's to come up with new lyrical ideas to spur a creative second verse, and consider shortening your verse 2 a bit and placing a different song section that isn't a verse or chorus at the top of what is normally reserved for verse 2. Now I want to see you in the comments. What's the fastest time you've ever written a full song? As you see, a lot of this video is emphasizing writing full songs quickly so you can use quantity to get to that quality. I appreciate you watching. It's the big homie Drew for How to Rap. See you on the next one.